Hello and welcome to my crafty update, or should I say arty update, because I literally have done no crafts over the last 2 weeks. All I've been doing is playing around with my watercolour paints, my watercolour pencils, my Inktense and my dip pen. So absolutely everything this week is art related, so if you're looking for some craft stuff, you might have to wait a couple more weeks for that. I apologise. So last time I spoke to you, I think I was feeling a little bit as though I'd lost a bit of my mojo. I think that's come back now, although not everything I've done has been brilliant, but that's part of how it goes sometimes, isn't it? I've been doing a lot of experimenting and a lot of trying things out. So yeah, I think we'll start off with my Neuro book, my Doodle book, my Zen book, whatever we're going to call it, because that's the easiest one to follow this week. So where was I? So last time I'd finished up with a little bit of neurographic work, and I was just playing around with a bit more of that in these 2 pages. And I'd been using the watercolour pencils as backgrounds here, and they weren't great, but at least they add a bit of colour on the page, and for trying out new colours and new designs, you know, I think they'll be fine. And then I went back to practicing some Zentangle patterns. I really like these circle designs with the organic bits around the edges, and I do want to explore that a bit further. I have explored it a little bit further than just this picture, but I definitely want to do some more of these. Yeah, I don't know, they just almost look a little bit whimsical, I suppose. I quite like that effect. Yeah, I'm going to continue working with the circles, I think, in my next sketchbook, because I think that's just something that I'm drawn to do. I like the flow of them, and they're not too complicated, they're not too busy, and even when they get a little bit busy, they still have, I don't know, a pleasing effect. And I was just playing around with the circles in different positions. I do feel in this A5 sketchbook I don't really have enough space to work, so my next sketchbook will be A4, so I'm hoping that that will be a bit more, I'll be able to have more space to be a little bit more expressive. And then I decided to, in my regular sketchbook last time I'd been doing some dragonflies, and as I was doing my research I came across a very nice dragonfly brooch, and it just made me think, oh, that would work really well with a bit of Zentangle. So that's pretty much what I did here on these 2. I drew out the dragonfly and I just filled in the gaps with some of the Zentangle patterns that I've been working on. And yeah, I really like these. I think I'm going to do a lot more of these. Well, I did some more anyway. I was playing around with the different wing shapes. This one's more like a butterfly, this one's more like a dragonfly, and some backgrounds. So I do want to come up with a nice composition for the dragonflies, and when I do, I will do those as a full process video for my Tuesday videos. But these are, yeah, really nice to do. Then I was going through my leftover pens to see what I had duplicates of, and I just did some random patterns. And this one, because I'd enjoyed the dragonflies so much, I thought it'd be fun to do a scene as well. So that's what I did here. I tried to create a picture with the Zentangle patterns to fill in instead of just flat colour. Quite like that one too. I might work on that as a design, a full design as well. And then continuing with the filling in shapes with Zentangles, the last one that I did was this little butterfly. I do really like this. I like the effect of this. I like these ones too, where you're just randomly putting the patterns together, but there is something nice about filling in a creature or a scene with these Zentangle patterns. I have only got one page left in this sketchbook. Room for 2 more pictures. So I fully expect to finish this sketchbook over the course of the weekend, and if I do, I will record a full sketchbook flip through for the following Tuesday. Once this sketchbook is finished, I can then move on to my A4 sketchbook. And this is one that I picked up in Hobbycraft a few weeks ago. I am undecided about these Shore Marsh sketchbooks. I feel like I've been ranting on about how awful it is that Hobbycraft has been taken over by this Shore and Marsh range of substandard books, but yeah. I did do a swatching page for the different art mediums that I intend to use in it, and yeah, I did my drawing ink, marker pen, pro marker, a coloured marker pen, my gel pens, the watercolour pencil, the Inktense and some acrylic paint. We had a bit of bleed through, and a bit of bleed through here with the marker pens and the pro markers, so they will not be usable in this sketchbook. So there's a fair bit of paper wrinkling going on with the water-based watercolours, pencils, Inktense and the drawing ink. But the drawing ink doesn't bleed into the page like some papers do. But I think the drawing ink will be workable in this sketchbook, because some sketchbook papers, even mixed media papers like this one, when I tried it with the ink just bled into the page. Like, it wouldn't keep a straight edge as I painted it on. So not all mixed media paper is for all medias. So I will try to use this sketchbook for my Zentangle designs. There are 60 pages in this book, and if I'm able to use both sides, which is going to be unlikely because the marker pen does bleed through, then that will take me quite a long time to finish. But even if there's only 60 pages that I can fill in, that will still take me a fair few months to finish. So I am looking forward to getting started with this new sketchbook, because I'm quite excited to work back on an A4 size. I did enjoy working on A4 in my previous sketchbook, but I didn't like the paper. So yeah, let's see how we get on with this. I'm not going to hold my breath. So, my regular sketchbook. Well, I'm all over the place in this week. I have been doing a lot of experimenting, and I have been doing a lot of things that I haven't done before. So a couple of these you will have seen from, well, I'm not going to go through this sketchbook in the order that I did everything, because I've tried doing that already and I got very confused. So I'm just going to go through the sketchbook as is. So, swatches, right. I did this one last time with my excuse me, Shore and Marsh pencils, and I wanted to try and recreate it with my new Inktense pencils. But I was really struggling with finding which colours I needed to blend to make the right shades I wanted. So after this disaster of the colours, I decided to do some swatching, blending 2 of the pencils together. This is teal and fuchsia. This is apple and fuchsia. Leaf green and apple, and leaf green and yellow. And I also did arrange to try and make a nice purple shade. And these 2 are sea blue and red. On the top one it was very light, and the second one was more intense. Sea blue and fuchsia, indigo and fuchsia, and indigo and red. This has been invaluable for me over the last 2 weeks, and what I want to do, I've got it down on the to-do list, is to do a whole A4 sheet of the colour blends, because I have been referring back to this to make the right shades in pictures that I've done later in the week. So I have been working both with the Inktense and the Shore and Marsh watercolour pencils. What I found with the Inktense is that if you don't use enough water, it dries very quickly and you'll get a hard edge. And that hard edge is one of the lovely features about Inktense when it's intended. When it's not intended, it's not so great. So you've either got to work really fast or use a lot of water. I will eventually do a full review of these Inktense pencils and what I've learned about using them as a beginner, but I do feel that over the course of the last 2 weeks I've improved with the blending, especially when I've been doing the swatches. So yeah, I went on and I did some more swatching. The thing is, when you're only working with a handful of colours, it can be quite limiting, but what I have found is that these Inktense pencils, they blend together so well and you can come up with whole new colours, completely new colours. So this was the swatching that I did of the original colours, and when you know that you can mix up all these beautiful shades of green and blue just from a combination of the apple, the teal and the indigo, I mean, it's a whole new palette, isn't it, really? So yeah, I found this invaluable, and what I want to do is a full A4 sheet with all of the colours just blended in so that I can use it as reference, because yeah, invaluable, absolutely invaluable to me. This one was the Watercolour Pencils, and I tried to do the background using the pencils on a paper palette. Awful. Then this one I did with the paintbrush directly on the watercolour pencil, and I was just flicking it onto a damp page. Loved this so much that I did 2 more on watercolour paper. And on this one I drew a dragonfly and I did the wings with white ink. It could be a little bit bolder, but on the whole I really do like the effect of that. And on this one I drew a little pixie, and I thought she was quite cute. A bit out of proportion, not very good with bodies, but I thought she was quite cute. So then I went on into my sketchbook, and still using the Shore Marsh watercolour pencils, I did these little sketches, added a tiny little bit of water just to add a little bit of softness. But I was trying to remind myself, embrace the pencil marks. These watercolour pencils are horrible to use as watercolour pencils. However, if I treat them like coloured pencils that might blend a little bit, then I might be able to work with them a bit better. So yeah, I did some more pencil flicking. This one was disgusting. It looked like a really mouldy page. I tried to salvage it with a bit of, yeah, it didn't work. Then I went back to the Pixies, and I'll just show you a comparison between what they look like when they're just pencil drawings and what they look like when I've added a little bit of water. They are much softer, but yeah, I'm trying to embrace those pencil marks, and I think it works for these little Pixies. I did end up making these a little bit brighter with the Inktense pencils because these are not very bright in colour, a lot of these Shore and Marsh ones. They're very subtle. Should we just say subtle? Yeah. So then I went on to doing no, I didn't do this straight away. Then I had a go at some more backgrounds, but this time I decided to do some watercolour backgrounds with my watercolour palette, my paint palette, and see how different the effect was if I just tapped a wet paintbrush over the page. I did this outside because it was very, very messy, but you know, it's a nice effect, and I think I'll use these 2 as backgrounds for more dragonflies or pixies if you compare it to the backgrounds I did with just the watercolour pencils, you know, they're both still really nice backgrounds. So yeah, I mean, this was just an experiment to compare, really. I like them both. I will probably do more. Of course I'll do more. That's what I do. Right, what's next? Dragonfly wings. Yeah, okay. So this one I did with the Inktense. These two I did with the Shore Marsh. These ones I did all with the Shore Marsh pencils. I was trying to embrace the pencil marks. And then I put a little bit of gold ink on these just as an experiment, really. And on this one I used a paintbrush and white ink. And then I tried using my dip pen with white ink. So the thing that I found with using the dip pen with my white ink is that the white ink is very thick. And it didn't always glide on the page very well. And even if it looked like there was plenty of ink on the nib, it still wasn't always giving me the ink on the page. So that was a little bit annoying. However, I persevered. So these ones I did with the Inktense, and these ones I did with the Shore Marsh pencils. Just trying to compare the blending and, you know, the colour mixing from the swatches that I did previously in the book, and again playing around with the white ink and black ink. And then yes, I tried doing this one with my Shore Marsh watercolour pencils. I wanted to see if I could do a landscape picture of, oh, I did it in here, didn't I, earlier? Yeah, so I did this one with my watercolour paints and gel pen several weeks ago, and I thought I'd try and recreate it with the watercolour pencils. So when I did it with the watercolour pencils, I felt that the drawing before I added the wash was fine. You know, it was okay. And then I added the wash, and yeah, not great, is it? So then I went on to rework it and added a little bit of the Inktense on top just to try and draw it out a little bit. It's improved it, but it's not brilliant. So what I want to do next time is try to do this just with the Inktense. So that's on my to-do list for the next couple of weeks. I've only got 4 pages left in this sketchbook. I might go back and work on these ones as well, so that might make 6. So I need a new sketchbook. Hobbycraft no longer sell these, and if I want to buy them online, I'm going to have to pay for postage as well. And I begrudge paying for postage, and I begrudge having somebody have to drive out to my house to deliver me stuff when I just want one thing. So I don't know what I'm going to do for a sketchbook. Definitely don't want to buy the Shore Marsh ones because it's not mixed media enough for the work that I want to do in my sketchbook. Yeah, I don't know what to do. I'm so annoyed that I can't get the books that I want in Hobbycraft anymore. At the moment in Hobbycraft, you can't buy a sized sketchbook at all. They just don't have any. They have mixed media sketchbooks. I'm not convinced by the mixed media sketchbooks. This one was a 300 GSM paper and it didn't work with the inks, that's why I've crossed it off here. This one is 160 GSM and it's definitely not mixed media, and I don't think it will be suitable for my watercolour pencils or my watercolour paints. So I don't know what to do. I spent ages in Hobbycraft checking out all of their different sketchbooks that they've got like this, and the only other thing I could come up with was to get myself a watercolour pad to use as a sketchbook. Now, so I picked up this one, which is a watercolour sketchbook in Poundland for £2.50. They don't sell them anymore, they've got none in stock, so I can't get any more. And they sell exactly the same book in Hobbycraft with a Shore Marsh sticker on, with only 20 pages of exactly the same paper exactly the same size for £7. So if I can get the same book in Poundland for £2.50, then I'd get another one of those, but I can't. And I'm not paying £7 for 20 pages, so that's just a rip-off. So yeah, I just genuinely don't know what to do about my next regular sketchbook, because I really want another one of these, but I can't justify the postage cost or the carbon footprint for the delivery guy. So yeah. Incidentally, whilst they didn't have any more of these sketchbooks in Hobbycraft, they did have a pad of watercolour paper, 16 pages for £2, and yeah, so that might be a backup for me as a, yeah, if I don't find another sketchbook as a regular sketchbook, that might be a backup. It's not quite A4 size, but yeah, I got that as a backup because I don't like change. I'm getting too old for change. Anyway, the last two pictures that I did two big A4 splashy backgrounds with the watercolour pencils, and I did these, which I'm very pleased with. I particularly like this one. It's slightly off the page, the composition needs improving, but yeah, I was very pleased with them, and I've recorded both of these, so I will put them up as Sunday videos at some point. So yeah, that's everything I've been getting up to over the last couple of weeks. There's been lots and lots of experiments going on, and I've really enjoyed it. I feel like I've had quite a creative few weeks, and over the next few weeks, well, I'm going to definitely finish up the sketchbooks, and I will do a sketchbook flip through for both of those sketchbooks when they are finished, and I'll be looking forward to starting the new sketchbooks as well. So I fully expect over the next few weeks that I'll use some of these watercolour backgrounds for Pixies and Dragonflies and whatever else inspires me. I might even use one of these for a Neurographic style. Yeah, I'll think about it. But I've also got these small ones that I did a while ago, and I used, these were cling film. These were cling film experiments with the watercolour paints, and I'm thinking a dip pen drawing on these would be quite nice as well. So let's see what I get done with those over the next few weeks. I think that will be quite fun. As for me, my little life and health update, well, my face is no longer flaring. I've got 2 or 3 weeks left of the steroid treatment, and then we're done. So yeah, that's good. I'm still feeling a bit groggy, a bit stiff, a bit uncomfortable. But it's fine. I'm getting on with it. I'm just getting on with it. Life is, well, it could be worse. We have managed to have a few little trips out, and I've been very lucky to visit some very beautiful places. And I've taken lots of photographs, which I fully expect to draw over the next few weeks as well. So thank you very much for joining me on my little arty update. I don't know if there'll be some crafts next time. I might get too absorbed with my art again, but we shall see. Who knows? And don't forget, in the next few weeks I will be publishing full process videos of these dragonflies, and as usual on a Tuesday there will be my Neurographic, Zentangle, Doodle full process videos as well. And I'll be back in 2 weeks' time with my next arty or crafty update. So yeah, thank you for watching. Do give me a thumbs up if you've made it this far. Your support is genuinely gratefully received. And hello to everyone that's new, because I've had a little rush of new subscribers recently, and that's been wonderful. Thank you. Do let me know what you're working on and what's inspiring you at the moment. And if you've got any tips or tricks that you'd like to share with me or anyone else, do pop them in the comments below. So I'll be back again in 2 weeks' time, and until then, stay crafty or arty.